Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first episode in Osprey's webinar series. I'm Matt Wood, the support team leader at Osprey, and throughout the series, we will discover more about our integration partners. You'll learn how to improve your processes, doing things such as saving time, reducing human-led error, and ensuring your firm provide first-class customer service to all your clients every time. The Q&A feature is open for any questions you may have. We'll answer them at the end of the session today. And don't worry, if we run out of time, we will make sure somebody gets back to you with afterwards, with an answer. Today, we're focusing on our most recent integration partner, and that is InfoTrack. Now, many of you may or probably already know who InfoTrack are and what they can do for you. But for those of you who don't, InfoTrack are a search provider who can offer you a vast range of products. And that's anything from client onboarding, so ID checks, source of funds, AML checks, lawyer checks, all the way through to property reports, local authority searches, SDLT submissions, etc. Okay, we have with us today Rich Dibbins from InfoTrack. He's the integrations manager or commercial integrations manager. He's going to take us through the ways that the Osprey InfoTrack integration can be part of your solution to the most common issues or worries that you will have when running a law firm. Okay, so if we just, first of all, before we move on to Rich, we'll talk about some of those concerns and how they can relate to sort of an onboarding or a search process that you'll have in place at the moment. Okay, so the first one is saving time or time in general. So onboarding processes, they can take time to complete, and I don't mean the process itself is lengthy. Having to arrange appointments to bring in IDs and other relevant documents that can stop you from being able to progress with a matter quickly. On top of that, conveyancing forms, they can be lengthy as well and take time to complete, proofread, and everything else before submitting them. Okay, the next one is reducing costs, and by reducing costs, I mean reducing costs that are avoidable. So mistakes happen. They do, and everybody knows that, especially when having to consistently repeat the same information into multiple applications. If you were to type the word hello as an example into Word, guarantee you would do it fine the first time. But if you had to do it 10 times over, you'd probably make a mistake. And it's the same principle when having to repeat data entry into multiple applications. Okay. And sometimes when you do make these mistakes, they come at a direct cost to the business. And it's especially frustrating when we know that those are completely avoidable. Okay, the last one then on screen is process or improving your process. So is your process working for the business? And can it be improved? Is it worth the time required to change your process? And changing it can feel like a really daunting task. And even if you know it's needed, sometimes you may feel like as though it's too difficult to do, which kind of leads me nicely onto the last bit that I want to talk about. It's not on the screen, but that's adaptability. So the last 15 months, it's been a shock for absolutely everybody. And many firms will unfortunately have had to close their doors permanently. Many will have struggled through, and probably only a handful will have seen little to no impact at all. So it's almost essential that we update the way in which we work now if we haven't already done. And what we need to do is ensure that our processes are brought up to date. And by doing this, we ensure that they are as adaptable as they can possibly be to change. Okay, so Rich, thank you for joining us today. So can you just take us through how Osprey's integration with InfoTrack and InfoTrack itself, of course, how they can help everyone with some of the concerns that they will have and be part of this new and adaptable process that we need to start considering?
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt, and thank you for Osprey for having InfoTrack as the first in this series of integrations with you. So we're very excited to be joining and partnered with you guys. So I'll do the usual and quickly share my screen. This will start. There we go. So let's just click on. Right. Okay. So hi, everybody. My name's Rich Dibbins. Yes, I'm the InfoTrack Commercial Integrations Manager. Title's a bit of a mouthful, but basically my role here is to help join up our CMS partners like Osprey with the InfoTrack technology, allowing our clients to get the most out of legal tech. So InfoTrack are more than just a search provider. As Matt's mentioned, we're a legal tech company helping law firms improve efficiencies, reduce costs, and service their clients better. So let's crack on to the first part. So working with over 1,700 law firms, we've got quite a bit of data. The average conveyancer will spend from anything from 5 to 8 hours of admin time to complete a conveyancing matter. And typically the average conveyancer will charge a fixed fee on most residential transactions. Inputting of data from one system to the next can be time consuming and incredibly slow. For commercial services, well, how long is a piece of string? We'll come on to that another time. A typical conveyancer will move from one website to the next, each time logging in and in some cases requesting a password reset, having multiple browsers open. If you are inactive for more than 10 minutes, in some cases you have to start again. Most of these providers won't allow you to save your work, and you can only access or process the data there and then. Now, some conveyancers won't be bothered by this, and it is how some things or most people will work typically. But if you have an issue, you will need to deal with multiple service desk requests and multiple customer service numbers. Oh, let's go back. All of this can be a little bit overwhelming. From what our clients have told us, managing all of the invoices and financials from each of the above can be a real headache for the accounts team. In one case, we knew of a client that hired a single person just to deal with the disbursements aspects, line by line. Imagine the time they've spent doing that and the salary for actually paying that individual. You may already have some of the above integrated, but they might be what we call a point solution. In other words, meaning they only work for one part of the transaction, not everything. With InfoTrack, we bring everything you need into a single system, one click straight through from Osprey. Now, risk is huge within law firms. In our personal lives, we are all used to use top-end tech. For example, myself, I love logging into Netflix through Sky. Basically, it just works. I can click on the app, go through, and I'm on Netflix or I'm on Amazon Prime. But when we use technology in our work lives, it seems technology is a little bit behind the curve. The pressure is definitely on with conveyancers, bigger than ever, trying to find the right information for the right client when needed. Forgetting to save searches back into a matter can be a risk and time consuming, not to mention additional cost factor. Copy and paste, as Matt's kind of already mentioned, data from one place to the next seems sensible until something goes wrong. What if a number is missed off? Or you copy and paste the wrong client's name? How do you overcome this? Saving the wrong document to the wrong matter, or somehow the file doesn't show up in your downloads folder, or worse, you're chasing through Outlook trying to find that particular file. The risk to your law firm is potentially threefold. One, the wrong data added to the matter means you have to backtrack and start again. This means time lost, profit going out the window, time you can't really charge back to the client. Risk to your professional indemnity insurance, causing your premiums potentially to go higher around renewal time. We know PI renewal time is a very costly headache, especially for the smaller law firms. And then finally, poor service to your clients, causing them added stress and inconvenience, possibly resulting in a bad review, which we know online reviews are now starting to perform a huge part of the conveyancing process. But what if you could slash your conveyance's admin time in half? Working, as I mentioned, with over 1,500 law firms, we've gained a huge insight into how conveyancers work. STLTs and AP1s, we understand this takes around about 20 minutes each to do those. What if you could do those in 5 minutes? Property reports, or reports on title, as you may know them as, these we know have taken anything from 1 to 2 hours. With InfoTrack, we've got a scoreboard for this. We've seen clients complete report on title or property reports within 15 to 20 minutes, hugely slashing the times on those and giving time back to the conveyancers. Reconcile a matter to when sending a completion statement. My calculator broke when I tried to work this out, but with InfoTrack, it just happens like legal tech should. So reducing your login access to just one login, Stop opening multiple websites and bouncing from one to the next. What if all your provider's data could live within the Osprey system? Never worrying about a document or forgetting to save data back to a matter. It just works for you. Did you know the land registry results expire after 30 days? If you forget to save this, you have to reorder, which could mean further costs. With InfoTrack, it is saved for you automatically. So another headache that you no longer have to worry about. Stop working 24/7. One of our team actually recorded that a conveyancer placed a search at 4 a.m. That's not a work-life balance. We want to give the conveyancers time back. We know the pressure is on more than ever in this current climate at the moment. So with the integration with Osprey and us, we are now able to reduce the amount of time you spend processing the data, reduce the risk to your law firm, and get the right information every time. With automatic population of data direct from Osprey into InfoTrack, the single source of truth minimizes the risks associated with using multiple systems, enhancing compliance across your firm and eliminating time spent rekeying in data. All relevant fields are mapped with information pulled directly from Osprey. And then finally, it's document returns. Any searches or information ordered via InfoTrack will be automatically attached to the relevant matter. No need to copy and paste, no need to scroll through your downloads or your Outlook folder. Everything is brought back into Osprey. So the journey starts like this. First, you'll start within Osprey. We have worked with Osprey to create a custom workflow to make life easier for you. So you start with the workflow. That then is mapped with InfoTrack, and then simply click the wonderful InfoTrack button. And this will then, you can now go off and order your searches and all the other key elements required. Now that you have your searches, STLT, land registry documents, and any other areas that you require, if you have any external documents, you can add these into InfoTrack, and these too will pull back into the matter. Whichever service you order from InfoTrack, whichever one you use, it is all pulled straight back into Osprey. You simply come back to Osprey as if by magic, everything is aligned with your matter, including documents and all the necessary data. No more running around the internet, no more clicking on multiple browsers, one login, one area. So I only have one very simple question. Once all this, seamless and effective, in most cases, we're able to save law firms around 2 hours on each residential matter. Imagine what you could do with the time. So my question is, what will you do with the time that you've saved? Bake a cake, read a chapter of that book that you've been meaning to read, or take a well-deserved break? That's the integration with InfoTrack and Osprey. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. There's some really, really interesting stuff, some really insightful stuff there. I know right now I'd spend my spare time lying in the sun. Before we move on to the Q&A, so we will move on to the Q&A in a moment. I just want to take the opportunity to thank everyone who's watched the episode. If you keep an eye out on your emails tonight for the registration for the next episode in the series, and also for the registration to our first episode in our focused workflow series. So that's going to start Thursday, 10th of May, this Thursday at 10 o'clock, and that's with Alex Hisker. She's a case management developer. She's going to be looking at the residential conveyancing purchase and how our custom workflow packs can help you move seamlessly through a transaction. Now, if you're in the conveyancing world and you're not yet using workflows, I highly recommend signing up to that and giving it a watch. And even if you are using your own workflows, give it a watch. Our developers spend weeks and even months developing these to make sure that they make the very most of what Osprey has to offer. So you may just learn something new and help you take that next step. So if we move on, we have got a few questions through, one for me by the looks of things, and that is, can we see the integration? Absolutely. We've got the email address, telephone numbers on screen. If you just get in touch, we can arrange a demonstration with you just to show you how the integration works in practice, and obviously show you all of the products that are available to you through that as well. I'm sure Rich at InfoTrack or anybody at InfoTrack as well would also be more than happy to do likewise. Rich, we do have a few questions for you.
Okay.
So what type of training do you provide with that? What do you do?
Yeah, so we provide all the users with, obviously at the moment it's remote training, but on-site where allowed and where possible. But yes, we provide full training with your account manager on how to use the integration, and then we follow that up with you to ensure everybody's using it to the best of the ability and have a full support desk to answer any queries or technical questions. So yeah, full training is supported for you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I suppose what happens really is obviously we will begin the Osprey setup side of things with a short training session to do that, and then InfoTrack will take over and they will show you their side of things and using the integration in sort of a practical sense or in a scenario-based sense. Okay. The next one we've got is, it looks like somebody else is using their own AML system. Is that okay? Are they still able to use InfoTrack services even though they have their own AML systems?
Yes, absolutely. The nice thing about InfoTrack, it's pay-as-you-go system, so you can kind of cherry pick what you'd like to use. We have some clients who use us, for a couple of products. As I mentioned, with the point solution, some people use or already have an agreement with other providers. But that's the beauty of InfoTrack. You can pick and choose what you want, but all the products that we have work with the integration. It pulls back through. So yeah, so if you order your AML or your indemnity through somebody else, you can still use InfoTrack, for the searches, for the property reports and those aspects.
Right, perfect. Okay. And the next one is, how long does the integration take? So I assume like the setup side of things, how long does it take to get up and running and start using it?
This is a common question we get a lot. Typically, we would say 4 to 6 weeks, but it is subject to the environment that we're working with, what's called mapping, so making sure the Osprey and the InfoTrack environment are both mapped correctly. And then you touched on the training. Training is provided. That's probably one of the slower aspects, is actually booking in the training with everybody. Because we know conveyancers are so busy, or residential teams are so busy, it's booking in that training to get them using. So that tends to be the little bit of the bottleneck, but I confidently we would say, yeah, 4 to 6 weeks from start to finish for you.
Yeah, and we've just now had a question through asking whether or not we can see an example of the InfoTrack report on title. So obviously that would be something that we'd have to come back to afterwards, but are they able to see examples of sort of what's produced?
Yes, yeah, we can show you exactly how property reports works. To be honest, it is the jewel in the InfoTrack crown at the moment. Yeah. And as I mentioned with the leaderboard, we're looking to get a leaderboard for it. But yeah, we can show you the property reports, pulling in the necessary information. Think of it as kind of 2 documents side by side. One's live, one's draft. The other way around. You update the draft and then you just click it. And as if by magic, all this information is pulled over into the live document and it's done seamlessly. So yeah, we can show that for you.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So what are there any minimum requirements for integration?
So typically we would, whenever we speak to an Osprey client, we would basically just go and quickly speak to Osprey and see basically if you're suitable for the integration. Everybody typically is, but it might be the level of subscription that you've got. So if you're not sure, we simply ask, contact Osprey, and they will then be able to speak to you, give you guidance on, okay, you need to do this, or might be a perfect storm and everything's fine, no problem at all, we can start getting you integrated. So just speak to Osprey, your account manager, or the Matt or the rest of the team on what subscription you've got.
Yeah, certainly. Most people will be on a subscription by where you do have InfoTrack. You'd have to have been on a pretty old subscription not to have that. But yeah. So how much is it to integrate on InfoTrack's side?
Yeah, this can be a bit of an issue. The cost to integrate with Osprey is nothing. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything from the InfoTrack side of things.
No sign-up costs, no
sign-up costs, no setup costs. We basically we provide the commercial services. We work on your behalf to get you working with Osprey, to get you mapped, to get you set up. So yeah, the cost is 0.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have had another one come in just. Regarding SDLT, can payment be made via Osprey or InfoTrack? and it says i.e. the same system as submitting the SDLT1 so that one of them isn't overlooked?
That's a really good question. I'll probably defer that to my colleague Gab. Are you able to just pop on and answer that one for me, please?
Yes, no problems, Rich. Yes, your SLT payment will be made exactly the same way you making at the moment. So you get your UTRN on your SLT5, and that's payable to the government. So yes, nothing changes on that front.
Thanks, Gab.
Thanks, Gab. Yeah, I forgot to mention here, we do have Gab in the background. Thanks, Gab, for joining us as well today. There on hand, I was hoping not to have to say anything, but that's it. Has anybody got any more questions? I think we have got through all of the questions that have come through so far. I'll just give you a moment just to get them in if there are any more. Okay, if anybody is watching this, obviously this is live at the moment, but obviously it's going to go out on demand as well. If you're watching it on demand, please feel free, get in touch on, again, the email address or the telephone number that's on screen at the moment. If it's a question for Rich or InfoTrack, we'll make sure that the question gets over to them as well. And they can either get back in touch or give us the answer, and we'll certainly let you know. Rich, Gab, once more, thank you so much for agreeing to come here today. I feel like you've really given us all a bit of food for thought. Everyone watching, thank you. Stay safe. Enjoy your week. Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers, guys. Thank you, everybody.